All right, well, welcome everyone. My name is Brian Riley. I'm a member of the Ripon Kiwanis. Thank you all for joining us. It's wonderful to see both members from the Kiwanis and the Early Bird Kiwanis attending today, as well as many guests from our community. Tonight we will be speaking about the all-inclusive playground project that our two clubs are partnering with, along with the Fond du Lac County Parks Department. That will be going out in Riggs County Park. So to start with, I want to introduce Dan Parks, president of the Early Bird Kiwanis. He'll be talking briefly about the origins of the project, how that got started, and how our two clubs got involved. So please welcome Dan Parks.
All right. Thank you, Brian. Can you all hear me in the far back sections A and P? We're going to do the wave. We'll do the wave later.
The upper deck can hear you too.
You can. Okay, thank you. Just a little sound check there. In essence, as Brian said, Ripon has two Kiwanis clubs. How cool is that? The Ripon Early Bird Kiwanis, in which I'm the president for the third time. I think that's either good news or embarrassing news. I haven't decided. And then the Noon Club. And yes, together the Noon Club and the Early Birds got together, interestingly, because of one of the members that we had in our Early Bird Club who passed away, unfortunately, Dennis Falstad. And if you got to know Dennis, as we had the privilege of knowing Dennis in brat fries and just at our club meetings and just in general, he was probably a guy that you never really was thinking that had the community's benefit in mind. He was just there. But he was always active, always cared, and here's a guy who's not married, doesn't have children. Why would I really want to be part of a service organization? Why would I care? Oh, he cared. It was just maybe your perception of him and his interaction, but what ended up happening is he kind of got the last laugh on everybody, because as you may know, he's the one who put together funds for anybody who came to his funeral. And I attended. And I remember his brother-in-law insisting we all sign the guest book. Didn't know why, maybe some thank you note would come out. And sure enough, that was what he had up his sleeve. And I'm not the attorney that drafted his will, so I don't get any credit for that. But I was an attendee, certainly, of a guy that we got to know over the many, many years. In addition to that, he gifted funds to our Early Bird Club and to the Noon Club and to other organizations because he knew what impact service clubs can have on the community. So with that, it sort of brought us all together to say, Dennis Falstad, what maybe we could do to really honor all the work that he's done, all the work that both clubs have done that might be valuable to the community. So among that brainstorming came the all-inclusive playground. And as we know, Riggs Park, right adjacent to Ripon, is part of Fond du Lac County, and with the help of Fond du Lac County, and we have Terry Dietzel here from the county tonight, they were very interested in putting that together. So, you know, when you have service clubs with our kind of enthusiasm, and you're a county trying to decide where do we spend our limited funds, that sort of maybe tips the scale in your favor, because there isn't really another all-inclusive playground in the near vicinity. I mean, maybe it's a half an hour away, I think, is the closest. So with that, this is showing the stone of Dennis Falstad when the Noon Club spearheaded the splash pad. And this project we're talking about for the all-inclusive playground will be adjacent to that right in Riggs Park. So that's the history of how we really sort of got the dialogue going. Our committee consisted of Joan Karsten, Tanya Alling, and myself from our Early Bird Club, and all of our early birds have talked about it at our meetings many, many times. And the Noon Club has talked about it many times, and then we've had meetings collaboratively with the county up until this point. So it really is something that we've tried to get off the ground long before now, and our understanding is this fall there'll be some surface preparation, and it's in 2024 that we're expecting to see this happen. So tonight, different speakers will tell us about all the fundraising, the funds that we put together, the funds that are necessary, and all the hard work that both clubs and the county have done thus far, trying to get us to this point. So I'll leave it at that. Thank you for being here.
Thank you, James. Next, Terry Dietzel from the Fond du Lac County Parks Department will speak a little bit about Riggs itself and how the county is very committed to our local county park.
All right, well, good evening, everybody. I've met a number of you off and on over the last year or two that we've been working on this project. And actually, yes, it was the Kiwanis that approached Fond du Lac County to research this project and see if the county was interested. I remember meeting out at the park. Originally, we were talking about one location, which was kind of set aside when the park was in its planning stages. And as a group, we discussed it, and after a while, we decided that a better location. So it's been kind of fun to watch this evolve from an idea into what the hopefully final product looks like. But as the county planning and parks director, I'll just give you a little background. Most of you, obviously, you're from Ripon and you know Riggs County Park, but I still like to give you some of the background because some of the funds were given by a donation years ago. Riggs County Park purchased in 1998. It was Doris Riggs Miller that donated $500,000 to Fond du Lac County. That $500,000 was used to acquire the property. The county then applied for some recreational grants and also contributed tax dollars, and there was about $500,000 set aside for development over the upcoming years. I believe it was in 2004 that the county completed a master plan for the park. We started doing the prairie out there. We put in the bridge in the parking lot to get to the developed area of the park. Started developing boardwalks in 2005, and that carried through for almost 5 years of building. I think it's 700 feet of boardwalk, which is in need of some work. 2006, we did the shelter. 2008, we did the restrooms. In 2017, the Kiwanis approached the county about the splash pad. Well, actually, probably before that, but I think it was built in 2017. That was done prior to me being the parks director. That was with Sam Tobias, who most of you maybe remember, who is retired. The splash pad, we had a few bumps in the road. The biggest issue with the splash pad had nothing to do with any of us, county or Kiwanis. It's basically what's in the water. Too much iron. We had drilled a high capacity well. Tried a lot of things to get rid of the iron. Finally, the decision was made after meeting with the city of Ripon to switch over to municipal water. We did that project 2021, 2022. Last year was the first year on city water. Splash pad looked beautiful all season. We had a lot of positive feedback. So that is up and running today. So when the Kiwanis approached us about the playground, my staff, which were new to the planning and parks, thought it was a great idea, but it was definitely the Kiwanis that helped kind of kick that idea in the butt a little bit. You know, we've been talking about it, but we just didn't have the funds either. So when the Kiwanis approached, we really didn't talk dollars, I think, in the early stages. It was just that the Kiwanis was willing to try to raise funds if the county could also contribute. The project has evolved. As I said, we've moved the playground to a new location where the playground will be right next to the splash pad. And those of you that have been to the splash pad probably noticed parents standing in the sun close to the splash pad. There's no shade. So in designing the actual playground structure, we did put some picnic tables in that will be located in between the playground and the splash pad, permanent tables with some shade. And then the playground is just evolved into a bigger structure than I think the Kiwanis was thinking at the start. I know it's larger than what the county we were anticipating. But again, the county, I am using the donations that Kiwanis brings to the table as, I guess, leverage to get more funds through the county budget. A lot of times with our parks projects, if we do get donations, you know, if a donation is 10,000, usually the county, you know, we just don't always take the donation and spend it. My practice has been try to get some funds to match that. We just did that at Hobbs Woods over by the city of Fond du Lac. We had Robert E. Lane Middleton donate funds from through the Fond du Lac Area Foundation. They donated $60,000 over 3 years. The county, we put in at least matching that. So over 3 years, we probably spent $120,000 at Hobbs. But getting that donation allowed me to leverage some more money. So that's how I feel about this project. The Kiwanis coming to us has been very positive. It kind of kicked it off. The project has grown. So we're hoping this fall to start with some of the excavation work and get the base for the playground in place. Right now, when you're out there, obviously it's a steep drop off elevation-wise from the splash pad to where the playground will be. This has evolved into another kind of project, which I'm not committing to, but in order to get the materials for the playground, we have 300 acres of property at Riggs. We're currently looking and working with County Highway and Land Conservation, the possibility of excavating a pond that we would use the clay material, place that for the playground structure, but in doing so, we may create a fishing type structure that could be used for educational purposes. I mean, we have 300 acres, we've already done wildlife scrapes, so this is really in the infancy stage because it just came up, I'm going to say a couple weeks ago. If we can do that, then we would not only get the new playground structure at the park, but we may also have some kind of fishing pond, fairly close. So right now, the playground, we're scheduling maybe to do the sub work or the foundation for it this year. In the future, we got a couple projects in mind. One is doing a storage building out there because we keep developing, and the more we develop, the more we need some storage for maintenance type items. And then the last would be if we can do the pond, we would develop that, you know, not only for fishing, but maybe for wildlife. So the county is committed. I spoke to Sam Kaufman, county executive. He's spoken to Tanya. I don't know if he's spoken to Dan, but Sam says he's committed. We will work on the budget here coming up here in 2023 for 2024, and I guess we'll see what funds are raised, and then the county will provide the additional dollars. Anybody got questions for me while I'm here?
I'm just curious, like, obviously those of us who have gone into Riggs Park know about the boardwalk. Like, is there anything us as local citizens could do to help create more awareness of that? I know, like, the staff have identified it as a need, but is there anything we can do to help promote that as a need too? Because it's definitely hard to actually go through it right now.
Yeah.
If not, I'm just curious.
No, I think I took, as I stated, I took over the parks 2 years ago, and I was not even aware of the condition of the boardwalks out there until almost a year ago. So I've had park staff work on those boardwalks, talk to it's my county committee, the UW EAR committee, which is the one I answer to. They are aware of the boardwalk issues. I'm going to prioritize things because I can't ask for all these funds at once. My intention is we will repair the boardwalks as we can here to keep them usable. But my goal right now is to get the funding for the playground, and then the boardwalks will be on the list. But the committee, UW committee, have already presented the problem we have with the boardwalk. And I was hoping to maybe get some ARPA funds for that, but I did not. So.
Thank you for checking.
Sure. Other questions?
Would this water feature be stocked with fish?
Again,
Potential.
we're just starting to talk about it, but potentially, yeah. We would, if we design it correctly with our land and water staff, it would be for fishing. Yeah.
That's exciting.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And again, it would be geared towards children
yeah.
and maybe providing some kind of fishing access
Cool.
to it. But that's in the very early stages, and I don't want to take away the playground is our main focus. The fishing might be just a benefit from developing the playground.
Thank you.
Thank you, Terry. Thank you, Terry. That wonderful information, especially about the potential fishing pond that could be a side benefit of the playground project. Next up, we have our immediate past president for the Noon Kiwanis, Jeffrey Dodson, talking about the parks, the benefit of play.
Well, I want to say thank you all for coming this evening, and what a delight it is to be in partnership with our Kiwanis clubs here in Ripon. The Early Bird Kiwanis Club and the Ripon Noon Kiwanis Club have a long storied history here in Ripon and contributing to the well-being of our community. We take our focus on working towards enhancing this community for the benefit of our children. Our motto is to serve the children of the world, and we're putting that into action here with this wonderful opportunity to put in this playground. Why this particular playground? Ripon has several playgrounds, as we know. I'm a father and I have 3 young children, and we've visited all of the playgrounds in Ripon, including the ones at our elementary schools, all of which are fun and are semi-accessible in a variety of ways, but in some ways are inaccessible. And that became abundantly clear to me a couple years ago when my mother came to visit. And my mother has rheumatoid arthritis, and so it's hard for her to get into some of those playground areas, like the wood chips underneath the playground, and be fully present to attending to her grandchildren. What we are proposing here with this playground is to be an all-inclusive playground, meaning that it's designed to be accessible and meet the needs of people with various physical abilities or disabilities. We have sought out some of the latest technology for playground equipment, and I believe we'll have someone come up and speak a little bit about some of those specific playground equipment pieces that will enable people of all different kinds of abilities to access this playground. One of the features that I am most excited about, and it is one of the most expensive parts of the playground, covering about half the cost, is this matting, the ground rubberized feature that you'll see here that's colored blue in this sample. That is a thick rubberized matting that allows for some cushion if you're landing on the ground, but it's firm enough that someone like my mother can get out there and go be present with her kids. It also enables those who may be in wheelchairs or need walkers or crutches or some sort of an assist device to get out onto the playground and be present with whoever they might be attending at the playground with. We do not have a playground in Ripon that is like this currently. Not as far as accessibility when it comes to getting onto the playground, nor as far as the equipment that will be present on the playground to allow for people to play on the playground and have fun. Also, this playground already has some features that were very appealing to our clubs as we looked at the location. Of course, we've already invested with the Early Bird Kiwanis Club and the Ripon Noon Kiwanis Club in putting the splash pad at Riggs County Park. There were several reasons for why that came about, and the location and the funding that was available to us to do that are two of the main things. As we looked at where to use the money for this Valstad bequest that our clubs received, we again turned to Riggs County Park because of the location and the funding that we are able to do in partnership with the county. A couple of other accessible pieces that are already present at Riggs County Park include dedicated parking spots. especially for accessible parking, for vans that need to have a ramp or some sort of a lift on it to park safely. There aren't those kind of designated spots in other parking lots in the city of Ripon. We have sidewalks that are already present and ramps to access those sidewalks, and the sidewalks that lead into the splash pad area and will be accessible for that playground space. So the infrastructure as far as accessibility is already present for us at Riggs County Park, which means that we can focus those dollars that we are putting into the park to this playground and the equipment that will be present on it. We have several playgrounds similar to this in the vicinity of Ripon, although it's a little bit of a drive. So you can go to Fond du Lac, the city of Fond du Lac, and find a playground like this. You can go to Oshkosh and find a playground like that. But that's quite a drive if you're a family and you're looking for a place where your kids can safely play. Grandma or grandpa can go out with the kids and play with you. You want to take your child who's in a wheelchair out to the playground and have some fun. You've got to leave our community in order to access a playground that has those types of features. So our goal here is to create a family-friendly space where everyone is welcome, regardless of ability or disability. And I think we've worked in partnership with Burke and the county and our clubs to come up with a vision and put that vision into action. So any other questions or things that you'd like me to talk a little bit about?
Are we going to hear more about the individual features?
Yes, I'm going to turn things over to some samples that you'll see here as far as images. But I just kind of wanted to lay out like why an accessible, all-inclusive playground and why at Riggs. And I hope that we've laid out some of that for you here this evening. So.
I'm gonna move this over so I can read a little easier. Just in case, no, there's no little thingy. Okay, disregard, I'll set it here. Okay, so there are 43 features planned for this park, this playground, and 8 of them are completely accessible, no matter whether you're, like Jeffrey said, whether you're using crutches or a wheelchair or a walker, or if you are completely ambulatory, anybody can use these. The first thing is a motion cruiser. There's room for 2 wheelchairs inside this thing, and it acts like kind of a teeter-totter. So also children, anybody can fit in there. Up to 12 children can get in that thing. Of course, if there's wheelchairs, probably not 12, but, so that's one piece. The second thing is it's called a Brava swing. The platform is large enough for somebody in a wheelchair to potentially transfer by themselves without needing help. And once they're in there, they hold on to the handles on either side and they can make it rock and swing. So this is good for not only people in a wheelchair, but like my son is on the autism spectrum and he really needed that kind of swinging motion was very soothing and calming to him. So that would be a great feature for many different reasons, but it would fit a wheelchair. This is called a Volta spinner. It has low enough platforms that you can transfer almost evenly from a wheelchair onto the seat. And it spins. So this is called a Volta spinner. The next one, this is a freedom swing. So maybe somebody that doesn't have the greatest stability or strength, the thing goes down in the middle that will help them stay strapped in so that they can swing safely. Okay? This is a 2-person swing. So mom or dad or brother or anybody else, 2 children can swing together in this 2-person swing. Mm-hmm. There are 3 different features we're going to show you really quickly. These are activity boards where they can move the pieces around and do that kind of thing. And we're planning to have those low enough that even if you're in a wheelchair, you can access them from the ground level. Now we're into the pieces that aren't necessarily ADA compliant, but there's going to be a climber, and a different kind of climber. It's called an ellipse climber. Ropes that you can go on, things you can walk across while holding on to a rope, something else to climb, more things to climb, more things to climb, kind of a little mini rock wall. Things that you can use like monkey bars, really fancy ones that they didn't have when I was little. It's a double slide, it's called the Viper over-under slide, a side-by-side slide, and then plenty of seating that they have purposely designed so that it can stand up to being walked on. So you see these kids are using it as a walkway, but it can also be used as seating. And then tables with benches. And you can see in the overall thing, some of the tables that Terry referred to that are in between the splash pad and the playground have awnings over them to shade the sun. And this is just an infant tot seat. We're saying that this is for ages 5 to 12, but if mom is there, or dad is there, or brother's there, or sister's there, and they have a toddler with them, they could use this swing to keep them busy. And then regular swing seats. And then this is that poured-in-place surface that is very forgiving and soft and more safe. And when the Fond du Lac County Parks Department was looking at helping design this playground, they actually came back to the Kiwanis clubs and said, if you truly want this playground to be ADA compliant, Americans with Disabilities Act compliant, you need to have this poured-in-place surface, because anything else isn't safe. So this is $103,000 of the overall budget, but it's necessary if this is the goal that we're aiming for. This is an important part of that goal. So these pictures are available on the website. It's on the paperwork we're going to hand out. It's riponearlybirdkiwanis.org, and then there's a thing you can click on for the accessible playground. And the new club, do you have a?
We do have a page. Yes. I don't have the link.
He doesn't have it memorized, but we will make sure that that information is readily available. So any questions about the features of the park? No.
It seems like this park will have more features than any other park in the city of Ripon. It's quite an extensive list, isn't it?
It's possible, and maybe, because I know, Jason, you've been on the park committee, I don't know if you still are, but maybe you can speak a little bit to that question of some of the features, because I know the other city parks are always in development, and new features are coming in as old features are retired.
Yeah, this would definitely have the most equipment out of any park currently that is in there. I know we're in the middle of a master plan process for the city of Ripon parks as well. With some creation and some development for that, but it's an exciting thing. It's great.
I just have a question. Do you know if it's synthetic rubber or is it like real rubber?
I don't know off the top of my head, but
I
can point you to the website
Okay.
of the organization.
With rubber, latex becomes an issue. Because I just know for my, I'm assuming, but.
I can get back to you on that.
Well, I
don't have it memorized.
It's okay, no, I didn't look at the website. I was trying to look.
Done?
Yep, thank you, Tanya. Thank you again, Tanya. And now, unfortunately, we lost the main slideshow that I brought up for our presentation, but really we're at the crux of why we're here. And so the price tag, as has been mentioned, there's some significant expense with the poured surface and the features. So the total price tag is estimated to be $270,000. However, between the contributions made by the Kiwanis, funds that have been raised over the last 2 years, as well as funds already earmarked by the county currently, the total goal remaining out of that $270 is $80,000. And we, with several discussions between the two clubs, the Ripon Kiwanis clubs combined are happy to announce that we are earmarking, we are going to match $30,000 up to $30,000 of donations made moving forward. We hope to finish the fundraising this year so that we can start construction in the park in 2024, as Terry and Dan have discussed. And so we have here tonight one of our donation forms. We also have a handy QR code and link to an online form where you can donate. And at a basic level, we have, as we had seen in one of the earlier slideshows, a brick with Dennis Volstead's name. We are going to do a brick campaign where people can get a brick for $100, and you can do 3 lines of text up to, I believe, 13 characters per line. And so you can put your family member's name on, you can put your own name, you can put your dog's name on there if you want to commemorate that. During the Splash Pack campaign, I got a brick that I put my niece and nephew's name on. And so, as I said, donations made this year up to a total of $30,000. The 2 Kiwanis clubs combined will match those funds. So that means that for every dollar you're spending in support of this project, that will be doubled. And so that will put us significantly closer to that $80,000 goal. And so these are available. We'll hand these out. As I mentioned, you can also donate online. Does anyone have any questions about the project, about the fundraising? Of course, you can donate more than $100 if you are so inclined. But is there any questions that have not been answered yet so far this evening?
Who's going to handle maintenance on that? Would that be through the county?
That will be the county. And just so you know, because the Early Bird Kiwanis are a 501c3, and the donations will be going through their foundation, any funds that are donated to this project will be tax deductible. Kat?
Yeah, I'm just curious how long these things last. You know, like the poured in place surface, how many years do you expect to get out of that? And how about the features, how long do they last?
I don't personally have the data on that. Terry, do you know? We talked about.
I don't know.
Oh, Joe.
It says, I'm looking at their website because I was trying to look up your question. It said that it's extended, there's a warranty up to 7 years on the play surface. Of course, I'm assuming with weather, and you never really quite know how things, but they're saying that here there's a warranty up to 7 years on that. And I have a little more information for you on all the things that they can do.
Gary?
I was wondering, has it been discussed, and is it even possible to have a naming opportunity for this playground?
I think it's been discussed loosely. I know the various donation levels will be recognized in some various forms, but I don't think we've put a price tag per se on naming rights for the playground. And so that would probably be a discussion we want to have with Terry. Certainly we want to make sure that Dennis is recognized, since he really laid the groundwork with the money that is effectively the seed money for this project. Okay.
I could add a little to that. The county recently passed a naming rights policy, and I don't know whether I don't think that would affect this retroactively, but in the future, maybe it would.
And can you elaborate on that policy, or if there's like a...
I think it's mainly for bigger things.
Okay.
I don't think they're thinking in terms of stuff this small. Maybe you know better than I do, Terry. I know they kind of did it for
I think it's a work in
programs.
progress. I know that it passed, but I think it's geared more towards public buildings. Originally it was being created to name some of the buildings at the fairgrounds, and the funds would be used to help maintain it. At this point, no one's at the county level has said that county parks are gonna be, stopped from doing naming rights, but currently, I don't think I have anything that's named after anybody, except for, Riggs Park. I would think that the county is open to that. It would probably take a whole conversation with my committee, with county exec and with the county board, but I guess if somebody's got some money they would really like to donate.
If someone wants to donate $80,000, we will have that.
We would be open to the conversation.
Sadly, I won't be that person. I thought maybe I asked.
I thought maybe we had you.
Any other questions?
Is Burke going to be the supplier of the equipment?
So I know the rendering was done by League Recreation, and we were looking at equipment through Burke, correct?
We are looking at through Burke. There's an interesting twist to all of this. Burke is, obviously, you know, it's a Fond du Lac company. We try to do business with Burke all the time with our county parks. The twist is that Burke does not sell their equipment direct. Fond du Lac County and I think most of the municipalities or anybody in their region has to go through a third party, which is Lee Recreation. Our intention is to do that. The question mark is if the price tag gets to a certain point, I have to put it out for bids. We're kind of teetering with that price, so that'll be something that I gotta figure out quick.
And I know we've had discussions, and it's probably in that same realm of the potential fishing pond of, we've asked the question whether or not we could have volunteers help with the assembly of the playground, because I know other Kiwanis playground projects have done that, which have also helped mitigate some of the expense of those projects. But going through specific contractors and things, we know that's, I know the Kiwanis projects that have done that, they've gone through specific providers for that, and so that might not be the case for everyone.
Yeah, and I would think construction of something like this, we would probably want to handle. It's not, I don't trust
Not my
anybody
volunteers.
here.
Careful, Jamie.
I know, I'm turning, Bill. I'm sure who's behind me. No, I mean, this is a very unique project, and there's specs for it, and it's a little complicated, so we would probably definitely contract it all out. Yeah.
Any other questions? Well, thank you all again for coming, and once again, there are plenty of refreshments and information about our Kiwanis clubs and how you can donate to the project. So thank you all again for attending.